Blue Cliff Record, Case 1. Emperor Wu of Liang asked the great master Bodhidharma, "What is the highest meaning of the holy truths?" Bodhidharma answered, "Vast emptiness, nothing special, nothing holy." The emperor said, "Who is facing me?" Bodhidharma replied, "I don't know." The emperor did not understand. After this, Bodhidharma crossed the Yangtze River and came to the kingdom of Wei. Later, the emperor brought this up to Master Qi and asked him about it. Master Qi asked, "Does your majesty know who this man is?" The emperor said, "I don't know." Master Qi said, "He is the Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, transmitting the Buddha mind seal." The emperor felt regretful, so he wanted to send an emissary to go invite Bodhidharma to return. Master Qi told him, "Your Majesty, don't say that you will send someone to fetch him back. Even if everyone in the whole country were to go after him, he still wouldn't return." Grey mist across the water, and from out of this mist, a small inflatable, pushed forward by the incoming tide, grinds into the pebbles of the ocean beach. A dishevelled, brown-skinned migrant struggles out of the boat, hoisting a dilapidated shoulder bag that contains his only possessions. He's male and somewhere in middle age. Border guards clatter over across the stones and detain him, notifying their commander and the authorities in the capital. Bodhidharma stood before the Emperor of China. Well, to call them by these names is the first mistake. Who are they actually? In this moment, what lines invent, fabricate them to face each other? The Indian and the Chinese? The one who crossed from over the water and the one who, by definition, is himself the very centre? The one who is one alone, and the one who is the one amongst so very many. The one who is ordinary and the one who is special, being himself holy. Which side of this line do I stand on? Who do I see myself as, and hence who do I face? Or is there another set of lines that separates me from both Bodhidharma and the Emperor, past and present, myth and reality, an old story, and my own direct experience in this moment? What flows across these lines? What doesn't? What's held back? What does the Emperor desire? What does Bodhidharma want? And then, of course, there is Master Qi. What's his contribution to the story? And who is he to us? After all, what am I after? What do I think I need from this story? The Emperor is the single point around the whole of China's coherence, the whole of China's meaning. He is the one on whose behalf taxes are raised, justice executed, soldiers fight. The one on whose behalf the administration administrates, the bureaucracy gathers, collates, and assesses and preserves its records, reproduces itself through the civil service examinations, which Emperor Wu himself has extended. The whole of China is like a grid organised in concentric circles with the Emperor at its very centre. Now, where on this grid should Bodhidharma be placed? Where does he fit in the scheme of things? What's his purpose, his function? How should Bodhidharma be known? To be known is to have a place in relation to the Emperor, to be visible to the Emperor. Now, this Emperor is a Buddhist, as well as being a Confucian. He's even known as the Bodhisattva Emperor for his good works. Now, if the Emperor knows his sutras, which he does, he'll know that he is as himself a Chakravartin, a wheel-turning monarch, the secular, though still thoroughly holy, equivalent of a Buddha. But for the Chinese, it's always an uncomfortable paradox that the founder of Buddhism was a barbarian, an outsider. And here's another problematic barbarian freshly washed up from that same land of India. So, what kind of relationship can there be between this outsider and the emperor? What kind of Indian barbarian is Bodhidharma? Is he a master of the sutras who will impress and decorate the imperial court and who might perhaps even further enlighten his new patron? Or is he an undesirable alien, a useless scrounger to be driven off? Or a confidence trickster? Or a dangerous seditionist who must be killed to maintain the integrity of the state? The emperor tests this stranger twice. What is the highest meaning of Buddhism? Now, this is the time of many schools of Buddhism in China, each arranging the many teachings and sutras in a hierarchy that curiously places their own school at the top, as being in possession of the highest teaching. The technical term for this is doxology. All truths are true, but some are truer than others. How will this Bodhidharma answer? How will he show his attachment, his allegiance? Now, not directly mentioned in this koan, but equally traditional, the emperor is supposed to have asked about the degree of merit of his own many good works. And now, of course, these are things he's had as emperor ordered other people to do. But this is, if the emperor believes in rebirth in its classic Buddhist form, a vital question because, well, of all the possible human births in the whole world, surely to have been born to be the emperor of China must be the most favoured, and itself to have required almost incalculable merit. So where next for him? And is his present merit, or any possible future merit, enough? Besides this, there's again the matter of simple appearances. To have his actions be approved by a true master reflects well even on an emperor. Either way, we've no reason to think he's anything but completely sincere. So before Bodhidharma answers, let's ask what we think was the point of Bodhidharma's coming from the West. Let's remember that for us, Bodhidharma is anything but a stranger, that we know far too much about him. We know he's the first Zen patriarch, whatever that is, that he represents enlightenment, that he's a hero and stands in defiance of mere secular authority, that he is the one alone, the one who will establish Zen, whatever we imagine that is, in China. Now, like all the koans, this isn't a simple record of events, but a knowing presentation in hindsight. The emperor can't fail to appear ignorant, limited, dull, ridiculous. How can he fail to recognise Bodhidharma? What is all his knowledge, his study, the whole machinery of empire worth if he can't see this? But seeing this ourselves, is it really Bodhidharma that we see? Or which Bodhidharma do we see? It's really rather Shakespearean, like a boy playing a girl playing a boy. Or maybe it seems more cinematic. We know who the stranger is, where the danger lies, unlike the puppets we're watching on the screen in front of us. But do we know? Or will the plot twist to reveal that we've been the dupes all along? So I ask you, what do I want? What do you want of this koan? What do I want or need Bodhidharma to be? The emperor's questions come with an implicit offer. They are themselves a kind of civil service exam, an aptitude and suitability test to join the spiritual administration of the empire. Make yourself known to me, allow me to place you, to find you a place, and you will receive the benefits of this relationship. The emperor is offering Bodhidharma a relationship to himself, relationship that's a mutual recognition, but a recognition that's independence on being known to the emperor, circumscribed by a particular way of knowing that presupposes that Bodhidharma has a purpose, that he will have a function. Isn't this an offer no one could refuse? All Bodhidharma has to do is to answer appropriately. He only has to show that he knows his stuff, demonstrate his understanding. Now, the two answers that Bodhidharma actually gives here show that this relationship just isn't actually possible in the way the emperor, or we, understand it. What is the highest teaching? Vast emptiness, nothing special, nothing holy. Or we could say, not separate. You and I and emperors and sages are not separate from this teaching of not separate. The emperor's problem is that he imagines, as we do, that he is exactly separate from the highest teaching, that there is a highest teaching that exists separately and that can be given. That the teaching is just one more meaning, rather than a relationship to meaning itself. In this sense, Bodhidharma's answer, vast emptiness, nothing special, nothing holy, reaches back to the silence of Vimalakirti, a muteness that faced down the Bodhisattva of great wisdom himself. And it reaches forwards to the not of the master asked whether a dog has Buddha nature. In actual fact, Bodhidharma answers the question straightforwardly and truthfully, though we may well mishear that answer. All is empty, and hence there's nothing special or holy or separate or even empty, except insofar as we collectively make it so. All things are simply constructions, fabrications, conventions, emperors, sages, and the Dharma itself included. However, in response to this answer, we may just as easily immediately bring to mind a glorious and shining void standing over and against the mundane reality of the everyday world of good works. Now, we might imagine that it's this reality to which Bodhidharma is pointing, this reality that he, as an enlightened being, inhabits. Is this the true world of the absolute, behind the mask of illusion that's the everyday, the realm of the relative world, which the foolish emperor cannot transcend despite all his goodness and good intentions? Of course, in reality, that's the exact opposite of the truth. There is no world beyond or above this everyday, and no way either in which emperors, sages, and good works are other than, as we said, conventional, fabricated, relative. There's no world beyond good works, beyond founding monasteries, building bridges, translating, copying the sutras. These are not unimportant or lesser things. It's just that they're nothing special. So this explains Bodhidharma's answer to the emperor's other question. The value of merit is even, that the value of merit is even raised shows the emperor is thinking of merit in the same instrumental sense as the relationship he honors Bodhidharma. Mutual recognition as emperor and sage, both special. How could the emperor be otherwise? How could the emperor do otherwise? He's the earthly ruler appointed by heaven. He's the embodiment of the Chinese state. To be emperor is to be special, to be separate. He's the guarantor of all meaning. He's intelligibility's precondition. So it's not only the emperor's problem when Bodhidharma's words land here as a challenge. Nothing special. The whole possibility of meaning is undercut, collapses, and yet meaning doesn't disappear. So, no emperor, no sage. Who stands before me? But as we hear, inevitably, and maybe we're asking the same question, the emperor still thinks that it's he who knows exactly who he is, and it's the migrant from the sea who's unknown. Who stands before me? I don't know. Is Bodhidharma's not knowing itself something special? Or is it the universal condition? Nothing special, nothing holy, vast emptiness. So it's important that we don't take this not knowing as being a something, as being an emptiness. And yet there is a positive here in this holding back, this denial. If we think of all the words that partially translate emptiness in the Buddhist context, relationship, opening, boundlessness. Actually, you might as well ask the sun or the moon, who shines before me? You'll get the same answer. It's just the same wrong question, limiting, meaningless. So, Bodhidharma is actually being incredibly clear. He's being straightforward. In its way, there's an astonishing intimacy here, the intimacy of refusal. His refusal is of the instrumental relationship the emperor assumes is what's desired and required. And yet the very failure of relationship at this level, the lack of instrumentality, opens onto the vastness, the boundlessness of not knowing and nothing special. He sweeps the emperor up into this dance, but the emperor isn't free to move, and so Bodhidharma has to move alone, crossing the river in secret into another kingdom. In secret is important. He's still unknown, still unknowable, and hence supremely dangerous. It's a matter of life or death. What's happened here shows us at a deeper level why the Blue Cliff record might have been banned within the empire at a certain point. It's not really, as it's usually said, that it shows this emperor in a bad light, that he's foolish or lacking insight. He is, after all, the Bodhisattva emperor, the great Buddhist emperor. It's that the emperor, by definition, cannot comprehend Bodhidharma's teaching, one that fits neither inside nor outside the empire's, or ours, ideas and definitions of knowability, of instrumentality, and of things having, or lacking, value in themselves. So this founding koan is an impossible story from an impossible book. In the koan, what happens next? Later. There are many koans that use this device of having another master comment, either to one of the original participants or on the story as a whole. It's the first stage of turning an event into a meaning, a little like the device in Renaissance painting that has a figure in the foreground at the canvas's edge who meets our gaze and gestures into the picture. We are not the first here, nor the first to hear this story. It's already the past, and we're already in the realm of consequences. What has been established? What left obscure? And how will our own understanding match, miss, or exceed this? So, Master Chi gives Bodhidharma a name, which shows him as visible and knowable to the emperor. He is the Bodhisattva of compassion. But who does the emperor then see, or rather remember having seen? Chi has both magnified and reduced Bodhidharma in the emperor's eyes, given him a name and a meaning. And this meaning is even in one sense that of a being superior to the emperor himself, the Bodhisattva of great compassion. But, seemingly, also reducing him to knowability, to having a place. Regret follows for the emperor. If only I'd known, bring him back. But that moment, that emperor, that Bodhidharma are long gone. So to drag back the monk who now sits facing the wall at Shaolin Monastery would be supremely beside the point. And he'd never come anyway. So was Chi telling the truth in his answer, or just teasing? He spoke the truth, though perhaps not the whole truth. It's Hakuin, in his comments on this koan given a few hundred years later, who shows us what's really going on and turns Chi's answer on its head. All things are the Bodhisattva of compassion. Of course. So Bodhidharma is just one of the 10,000 things, and hence both the Bodhisattva of great compassion and nothing special, nothing holy. So I ask you, what has Bodhidharma got from this meeting? What has the Emperor got? And what have I got in telling it to you once more? And what have you got from hearing it? Where do I turn towards and where do I turn away? Do I at least know that much? And what's the Emperor want of me? Yasutani says that in reality Bodhidharma never left, and that's very true, in the sense that we're still talking and writing about this meeting today. Who is it we meet in this story? The Emperor met Bodhidharma without meeting him, and then met him again in being told who it was he'd met before. Who have you met? To paraphrase Dogen, it's ourselves that we meet in this story. And to meet ourselves is, as Dogen says, to forget ourselves.